Well, what a week this was. Closed on my house, got the biggest check in real estate that I've ever gotten in my life, so that was really, really nice. I ended up taking a day off to celebrate. I got to go to the racetrack, Lone Star Park. I got to play poker 3 times this week, although not really that many interesting hands, so I don't have a ton of hands on this vlog. I think 6 or 7. The best thing was I got to do some coaching, teaching, training type stuff, which, hey, my card says coach, so I better be able to do some of it, right? That was really rewarding. It turned out well, and you'll see about that here in just a little bit. Okay, so I played in the Wednesday Night Poker League, the normal league, and there was 31 in the tournament. I came in 5th place this week, much better. I thought it was going to be bad. I got aces cracked in the 2nd level, lost a big hand, but I ended up getting not any more bad beats, just your standard 50-50s that you have to play in tournament, and made it down to 5th. I ended up winning $200, or netting $200 in the tournament. I won some money from coming in 5th, and then I won some money for last man that we have with anybody in the tournament is eligible for, and then I won the last man, which is the much more important one, between me, Dane, Steve, and Matt. It's our buddy's last man. That one's the pride one, so I won that. I also got to do something that I love to do, which is, if you watch my vlog on 2018 goals, it says train and teach. So I got to give some advice to Jimmy. He ended up winning the tournament. We'll talk about that in a minute. So that makes me feel very, very good about that. It's Dane right there dealing, Matt, Steve-O. Those are the 3 buddies that play in the last man with me. And I was lucky enough to win tonight. So Dane and Steve went out in the last man, and me and Matt were playing at the same table, and we ended up getting it all in. I had ace king, he had pocket 9s, and the flop was queen 10-4. So now we need a jack, an ace, or a king, and I can't remember if the jack came on the turn or the river, but I think he said the river. So I think the 7 was next, and then I hit a jack on the river, and I ended up winning the last man between us 3, which pretty much pays for the tournament, so I like that. Matt was not very happy.
Did you see that? Did you see that?
Did you scoop one? Did you scoop one?
Did
you scoop something?
Yeah,
I got all of me. Just want to do it again.
You had a lot of chips. What happened?
So I finished 5th tonight in the tournament. Did okay. Much better than I have in the last couple of weeks. But the guy that won it, Jimmy, I gave him a little bit of advice tonight, so he was going to talk to you about that. Chip stack. Jimmy, good job, buddy. How many players tonight, do you know?
31.
31. Jimmy came in first.
31 players.
And Jimmy asked me a question before the thing tonight. He said something about, hey, is there something that I should do differently than what I'm doing to help me play better? And since it says that I'm a coach on my card, I was just hoping that Jimmy would say something about. So one of the things that when I am helping somebody, I've tried to help a couple of the guys, is sometimes you cannot recognize your own flaws or your own weaknesses or whatever. So when Jimmy asked me tonight, hey, and he said, hey, help me recognize if there's something that I'm doing wrong, or something not necessarily wrong, but what could I do better, right?
It was not only better, but you know, knowing the game, my game, the way you do, because we've played for so long together a lot. That you know, I'm a quote type player. I can, you know, squeeze it with the best of them. But you know, the thing that he helped me out with and helped me think about a little bit was, you know, betting the positions and certainly betting as it's checked to me and recognizing those opportunities. And I think that I was thinking about that the entire night, and then I got everyone's chips.
I know. So Jimmy and I sat at the same table in the first level. He just said he didn't play it against me. But the one thing I told him was he has a reputation of being a relatively tight pair. I said, Jimmy, if it checks to you, bet. It doesn't matter if you have 2-7. If you bet with your reputation, you're going to win it. So at the break, after the first break, Jimmy said he did it 3 times and he won all 3 of them. So it's just even something like that helps. So anyhow, I thought I could help, and it's fun to see you win. It would have been more fun to see me win.
Right, especially being 5th, you know, at the final table with me. But
so anyhow,
no, it's helped out a lot, and I've watched Billy's blogs since blog 1, and I can tell you, you know, even watching some of that has helped me out a ton, which is what prompted me to ask Billy in the first place.
Cool. Well, thanks, man.
Thanks. Congratulations. Thanks.
Thank you. So this past Friday was a very, very big day for me and Vicky. We closed on the house that we've been talking about for a few weeks. Gosh, I made more money on that thing than I make in a year, so it was a great deal for me. So to celebrate, I went and I met my buddy Steve at Lone Star Park. I took the day off. Well, actually, I was supposed to take the day off, and they called me on an emergency. I ended up working half a day. But anyhow, I met my buddy Steve at Lone Star Park. We bet on the horses. We didn't do as good this time. Steve is very, very good. He does really well, but didn't exactly pick them right this time. We were so close on a couple of pick 4s, but we missed. So then I went over to Line Shack, which is a local club, and I played some 1-3 poker there with 1 hand of Omaha per round. So in this first hand, I'm playing against a player named Dale. We're 6-handed. I'm in middle position. I have $350. I bought in for $300. I have king diamonds, queen of diamonds. There's a straddle to 7, an under the gun straddle to 7. I make it 19. The big blind calls and the straddle folds. So there's 46 in the pot, and the flop comes king of clubs, queen of heart, 6 of diamonds. He checks. I bet 25. He raises it to 70. And he has 186 back, I believe. So I'm debating on whether I should raise again right here or just make the call. And I decide to make the call. The turn is the 9 of hearts. Dale shoves into me for 185. Of course, I make the call. The river has 556 in the pot. He is the 4 of clubs. Dale turns over ace, ace. And I win with my flopped 2 pair. Nice start. Okay, I had my stack up to 565 when I get ace of clubs, 9 of clubs in middle position. There's a $6 button straddle. So the under the gun +1 makes the call. I decide to call, and the button straddler checks. The flop has 21 in the pot, and the flop comes ace, ace 5. I check. I'm sorry, the under the gun +1 checks. I make it 12. The button folds, and now the under the gun +1 raises to 51. So now I have a decision. I had never played with this player. I didn't know if he seemed like he was relatively tight, but I was not sure. So I decided I would make the call. Now I made the call because when I looked at his stack, I thought he had 150 left. Turns out I didn't see some green chips, and he had 225 back. If I thought he was a really tight player and he had that much back, I might have folded my ace-9. I don't know. I had an awfully good hand. So there's $123 in the pot for the turn, and the turn is the jack of clubs. He leads out for 75. Actually, this is when I realized, no, I didn't even realize yet. I still thought he had 150. So I shoved all in, and then I realized, well, after he shoved it all in, he had a lot more money, 225. Not a lot more, but 75 more. I thought that I was making it double, and that was it, and he actually had another 75. Anyhow, he made the call, and the river was the queen of spades. He turned over ace queen for a full house. It didn't matter unless I hit a 9 because he was quite far ahead. So I lost that pot. It's a pretty big one to lose. So the last hand we'll go over at Line Check was actually the very, very next hand. I'm in the hijack with $285. I have 7 of hearts, 9 of hearts. it was a limped pot. There was 5 limpers at $3, so there's 15 in the pot. The flop comes 5 of diamonds, 6 of diamonds, 7 of clubs. Checks to me, I lead out for 10, and the small blind calls, and everybody else folds. So the turn has $35 in it, and it's the 2 of spades. He checks, I bet 30, he makes the call. He had been chasing cards all day. I'm assuming he's on some kind of draw. So when the river is the 6 of spades, and he shoves all in for not very much, he only had 46, I snap call. I figure he's on a draw, and that's exactly what he was on. He had 8-10, and I got all his chips. So I ended up leaving line check up $210 or something. Gosh, it could have been so much better had it not been for that one hand that I lost with the 2 flopped aces. But that's cards. So Friday night I went up to WinStar. I had 4 winning sessions in a row, yay. So I had broken a little bit of the streak that I had of just playing poorly and running poorly. In this session I got up early, and then I had lots of good pre-flop hands, couldn't hit anything. If I would continuation bet, they would have it and call me down, and I would lose. If I didn't continuation bet, of course they would bet and I would have to fold. It wasn't good. I had lots of second best hands. So I did lose one big hand, which we're going to go over here in a minute, and I finally recovered at the end a little bit. I still had a losing session. I lost 390, but I was down nearly 850 at one point, so it ended up not being too bad, even though I hate losing. Nick from Hazlitt House Poker played at the same table as me, and he absolutely kicked butt. I think he cashed out for somewhere around 5K. Pretty good for a 2-5 game. He was absolutely on fire. I wish he'd have shared. Nick, share some run good, man. So the big hand I lost playing at WinStar, I was playing against a player named Steve. Steve was sitting to my right. He watched my vlog. We got along well. He was telling me what he had liked about it, what he didn't like about it, and just a nice guy. He's a semi-regular up there. I'd played with him before, but I hadn't really talked to him before. Nice guy, except he took my chips. So in this hand, I'm in the cutoff. I have $385. I have ace-10 of hearts. It folded around to Steve on my right. He raised to 25. I made the call, and we were the only 2 players, I believe. So the flop came ace-ace-4, and Steve bet 35, and I decided to smooth call with my ace-10 of hearts. So at the turn there's 125, and the turn is a queen. Steve checked. I bet 50, and he made the call. So the river is another 4. Steve leads out for 80, and here I have a decision to make. The only hands that beat me are Queen 10 and pocket queens, pocket 4s. I'm not really worried about pocket 4s at all. So I decided to jam, shove all in, hoping that he's got a pair of aces or something like that. He snap calls because he had pocket queens. So he won full house over full house, and I got stacked off. So, gosh, it's not very nice, Steve. It's your buddy Bill, Mr. Bill Poker with the vlog. What's wrong with you? I'm kidding, of course. I did meet some other nice people up there who had seen my vlog. In fact, one guy came over, his name was Steve also, I believe, and he was talking about how Nick and I were at the same table. And I said, yeah, you notice who has all the chips? It was Nick, not me. Of course, I had just started, and Nick says, yeah, I'm just getting lucky. So the guy was talking about how, hey, we got YouTube stars, and I would say far from YouTube stars. But it was fun, and got to talk to him for a minute. He was a very, very nice guy also. So again, one of my goals for this year was to do some coaching, and I appreciate the fact that Jimmy even asked me for advice, got to talk to him for a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a big deal. Sometimes it can be just something small that the other player doesn't recognize, and that was the case this time. But I am going to also be giving a class in May to whoever's in the area that wants to see it on poker math. I originally intended this to be for my son and all of his college buddies who are kind of starting into the game, but realize that I've had a lot of interest from the people in my league. So we're going to be doing that in May, and for me that'll be very, very rewarding. So I'm looking forward to that. So I had turned it around a little bit, 4 winning sessions in a row. Had a little bit of a hiccup here at WinStar on my last session, but it's starting to turn around. We're going to start doing really, really well. In fact, maybe we'll do really well just in time for the World Series of Poker, and we'll take down a big one. So anyhow, thank you guys for watching, and hit your little thumbs up button for the subscribe and all the other stuff you're supposed to do. Okay. Anyhow, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. See you next time. Bye.